Hi, Frank. You guys filling out this roster, you brought in a lot of guys on minimums, and obviously, they probably weren't going to all be able to give them maybe the role they envisioned if you didn't know who was going to end up carving out a role and who wouldn't. How has Malik become the guy at this point in the season who has kind of risen above and become the key contributor that he has?
Well, he's just been the most productive, is the simplest way to look at it. Um, Reliable three-point shooting and, his ability to make plays off the bounce and, help us in all those ways consistently, has been the reason that he's separated himself.
Kyle?
Frank, two things if you don't mind. One, obviously the trade of Rajon became official today. Was just wondering what he meant to the group and you as a coach. And two, just what does the process look like in the next couple of days as you guys kind of make some key roster decisions on what to do with that open spot, and then also what's going on with Avery and his guarantee?
Yeah, well, first with Rondo, obviously, we're happy for him to have an opportunity to go somewhere where he's going to have more of a role in the rotation, obviously, the ability to have the flexibility, with the roster spot, for what we have coming forward, which is still unknown. I think Rob just saw value in that, but Rondo, means the world to me. He's one of my favorite players I've ever coached. Was an integral part of us winning the championship 2 years ago, me winning my first championship, and he'll always be a special player and a special friend to me. So I wish nothing but the best for him for now, and we'll continue to stay in touch and whatnot. In terms of what is next, we still don't know. Rob and Kurt, are going to make those decisions, as they see fit, and that'll all play out in the next few days.
Jovan, welcome back.
Thank you. What's up, Frank? It's been a minute.
What's up?
To go back to Malik, he mentioned that it hit him hard, that he felt kind of no one wanted him this summer other than you guys. Why do you think that was? And what do you think he's shown with you guys that maybe he was being underrated, in his time in Charlotte or just kind of across the league?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, obviously he was a high draft pick, so from his perspective, he comes in, with high expectations of what his career path is going to look like, and they didn't have a lot of winning, the first few years that he was there. His role was inconsistent, and I think all these guys have a great deal of pride that they can have a strong career, and he's a very self-confident young man. We saw last year, just the production that he was putting out in Charlotte, and you're always identifying guys that could become available that. Could be maybe better in your system or a better fit with your system than, the current situation that he's in. And he's one of the guys that we identified as a talented young player that, we wanted to take a look at. And, I personally have always been a fan of his. We have the Kentucky connection. I interviewed him when I was in Orlando, and he was coming out of the draft and, was very high on his ability back then. And we had an opportunity to get him. I really pushed hard for us to try to secure him, and we had those conversations this summer. And like he alluded to, no promise and role. We had a lot of guys coming in on minimums, and everything would have to be earned. And he's done a great job for us.
Dave?
Frank, staying back on Rondo, he was such an important piece in the championship run, and historically he has upped his game when the postseason comes around. And then also over the last several years, even for a non-playing veteran, a guy like Jared Dudley, that proved to be an important part of your team to have that in the mix in the locker room. So, I mean, was it a difficult kind of realization or decision by the franchise to move on from Rondo, considering what he can still bring to this group as the season and postseason comes?
Absolutely. We brought him here with the purpose. Understanding that it would be more of a non-playing role, a third string point guard role, but to use his IQ and intelligence, and that will certainly be missed. But there's the front office felt like there was a need for flexibility, and it wasn't like we wanted to depart from Rondo. But the opportunity presented where we're partners with all these guys, and opportunity presents where he has a chance to go in and fill in with a really good team, a really good young team, and fill in where Ricky Rubio was playing, and you want to do what's best for the player as well. But it's just one of those front office decisions that you have to make difficult decisions, and to lose a guy like Rondo's obviously very difficult.
Dan?
Hey Frank, can I work through a couple of quick ones for you? Just to make sure I understand this. So Darren Collison and Stanley Johnson, their 10 days are up and they weren't at practice today? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then how is Fizz doing? I think we saw a report earlier today that he's in the protocols. I assume he was not at practice then as well?
Yep, he will not be with us until he clears protocols. Yep, but he was, he's involved. We basically flip spots. He's the one now that's zooming into our meetings and, watching the team meetings from afar. But he was, a big part of our coaching staff meeting this morning. Going through how the game looked and, working remotely.
Yeah, and then lastly to Malik. He comes across. You mentioned his confidence. He comes across to us at least, or someone very comfortable with like the kind of player he is, the kind of person he is. What's that been like? How has that sort of fit in with what you've asked him to do, and what's been like working with someone who is that comfortable and confident, I guess?
Well, it's great. What I love about Malik is that he's a guy that is he's very confident in himself, but he's not overconfident. You know what I mean? He knows he can contribute. He knows he can play the game at a very high level, and he knows where he fits in the hierarchy of our team, and has a great attitude, a great spirit. Really is a refreshing guy to be around every day, and his teammates love him. The coaching staff loves him, and it's just good to have a guy that has that type of confidence.
Brian?
Hi, Frank. Like a million years ago in training camp, you talked about the difficulty integrating this many new players, and looking forward to kind of experimenting and doing all that kind of stuff with rotations as the season goes along. Obviously, 40 games in, given what you guys have done, how much of that flexibility do you still feel like you have to experiment and mix and match and do that? And then sort of how does that influence the way you can coach the last 40 games or so?
Well, it just the way the first part of the season has played out, it appears we're going to need the whole season, to be looking at different lineups and different combinations and different spots to put our new players in. We've had a lot of different circumstances that have, forced us to try certain things, and I don't think we've really quite settled into, who we're going to be come playoff time. Especially with Anthony being out right now. But, there's lessons to be learned every time we take the floor, every time, we're in a film session and in a practice, and we're evaluating constantly. And, we still haven't seen Kendrick Nunn. Trevor Ariza is still very new to our team. Stanley Johnson has, potentially become a factor for us. And, we're going to continue to look at all of these players and where they fit and the style of play. The style of play has shifted from where we were at the beginning of the year with, some of the positives we're seeing with playing smaller lineups. So, it's going to be an evaluation process throughout the season, but the key is, to build the strongest unit that we can going into the playoffs, and obviously win as many games as you can along the way.
Dan,
Thank you.
Jovan, do you guys have follow-ups or your hands just still up?
Sorry, I was still up.
Okay. Dan, you have a follow-up?
Yeah, real quick, Frank, you said Stanley's potentially still in the mix for you guys. He had a good showing with you. Are you guys concerned that he may land somewhere else? Obviously, there are a lot of available jobs right now, seemingly on a daily basis. And you guys kind of, if you could, can you kind of shed any light on what the plan is for him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know in what real detail, I can go into on that, other than, we still hope to have him back for some more games. So all those answers will reveal themselves over the next few days, right? But right now, it's still up in the air.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Last question, Cooper?
Hey Frank, you mentioned him briefly. Last we heard, Kendrick Nunn was going to be out until at least the new year. He's been back from COVID for a couple weeks. What have you seen of him since you've come back to the team? If you could give any sense of where he's at in his recovery. And then if you know, how do you plan on incorporating him when he gets back?
Well, he's making progress. He's doing more and more on the court. I just talked to one of our assistant coaches about the work that he did today, and he definitely looks like he's getting closer to where we need him. We still don't have a timetable on it, other than to say he's getting close. And in terms of how we plan on using him, we got to throw him into the mix, and see what he looks like in our system before we can make any real determinations of what his role is going to be. But we love what his game is. His ability to shoot the three, to play make in the pick and roll game, and also to be a second side attacker. When you got Bron, Russ, and AD with the basketball. So he's a talented young man and someone that we really think can help us.